listen to this. Bad boy.
Come on. Start your esports career now at play.eslgaming.com.
Get your team apparel now at shop.eslgaming.com.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, here to the ESL Pro League. We're into week 6. I'm Hugo. Joining me today is the lovely Harry. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, Hugo. I'm doing great, actually, and I'm very much looking forward to these games tonight. I mean, this game. Sorry, singular. Yeah, we're only going to be bringing you one for the time being, which, you know, was a good trip coming here for an hour. It's great, fantastic. But it is going to be good for you guys watching at home, hopefully. As we look to bring you that coming up very, very shortly. But yeah,
it is going to be G2 versus Fnatic. So quite a big game. For those wondering, obviously the previous match between, or the previous map between G2 and Fnatic was in week 2. Fnatic took it away 16-14 on Cobble. So we're going to be following up that series, as we did have some issues back then to at least get both maps under control. So now we're having it here, one map on the B stream, all the other maps on the main stream, and then we're going to be back here tomorrow again for some more, well, a full day of broadcasting at least over on the B stream. So great match to start us off. Obviously, there's a lot to talk about in terms of this one. It's you know, 2 very inconsistent teams, 2 new rosters, and a very hard game in terms of predictions.
Yeah, I mean, you know, coming into it, I would argue that I'm very much in favour of one of these teams right now, at least. I mean, you know, coming into this G2, they are going to be right down at the bottom of the board. Overall, you know, having a bit of a hard time, I think, is really kick-starting their team, which, you know, when it was put together, everyone kind of heralded them as this French super team, and since then, they're French, and that's really about it. They haven't really bought too much to the board. But you know, one way of looking at it is they've got to be destined for a comeback sometime soon. And you know, who knows? Fnatic could be the team to get the full brunt of that comeback. Yeah,
and talking about them being at the bottom of the standings, we're going to have a look at them now. So here we go. These are the standings so far of the Pro League, and some interesting results. I definitely think we can look at, Harry. Obviously, you mentioned G2 being at the bottom. I think another team to watch out for is at least Mouse, currently 2nd in place. They've had a great performance despite losing Nico to FaZe, and frankly, that's been a team, you know, looking to be on the rise.
Yeah, you know, when Nico left, everyone was kind of like, that's it, Mouse, they've got to be done. You know, like he was the guy who you used to see really stepping up for them. And, you know, they've gone from strength to strength currently right up at the top, and they're doing phenomenally well. Yeah,
so let's have a look at the schedule, at least for tonight as well. We've obviously got, as we said, only one map coming up. I think that's incorrect, but it is going to be Fnatic versus G2 there, not North Heroic. We had that last week, but obviously on the mainstream as well, you can see we're going to be having all those matches as well. We've got Na'Vi, Nip, and then Kingwin versus Astralis. So some very good games tonight, obviously, but this is the one to watch out for, Harry. This is why we're here, for Fnatic versus G2. I'd like to ask you as well, at least in terms of outstanding players on the teams. We know both these teams have some great individual talent. Who do you think you're looking out for on either side?
You know, on the side of Fnatic, it's really got to be a toss-up between Olaf or Flusher. But for me personally on Train, I feel like I'm going to have to go the way of Olaf in this. I think he's had some amazing performances on it lately. And, you know, in spite of having a little bit of a hard time coming back, you know, there was that time where he was very much the best player in the world, or definitely you could argue, make that case. And, you know, since then has fallen off a little bit, you know, because of the reason when he had to step out. Now kind of coming back is coming into this in a big way, and I think, you know, Train's going to be his time to shine. As for G2, I've got to say Shox, just because
don't even need to elaborate.
He's phenomenal.
Yeah, and obviously if you do have your own favourite player yourself and you want to vote for it, you can head over to paysafecard.com/fanvote. Go over towards there, vote for your favourite fan. Simple as that. And I think a lot of people are going to be agreeing with Harry. Shox and Olaf looking very good individually, while G2 is struggling. Obviously, I think Shox is, you know, maybe the player to pull them out of the dark. But alongside PaySafeCard as well, we've got to give a shout out to ESEA for the Mountain Dew League. Those wondering, that is the the way that the teams actually get up into the Pro League. They go through Premier, otherwise known as Mountain Dew League, and we've been casting that a fair bit ourselves. It's been very interesting. We've got some, you know, interesting talents in there. Some teams I think are definitely going to be you know, interesting to watch out over in the next season of Pro League.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, at the minute, Big is the one I want to keep an eye on. But, you know, to keep things brief, we won't spend too much time focusing on the Mountain Dew League. But yeah, it is phenomenal, and a big shout out to Mountain Dew for, you know, helping us out with that. I think it's been great thus far. Yeah,
and obviously, as we mentioned, we only have one map today, but that leaves you with 3 hours this evening to do nothing but watch our YouTube VODs. Head over to youtube.com/ESLCS if you want to check out all the VODs from the previous Pro League matches, and obviously, we're going to be continually updating that. And Harry, when you go over to the YouTube, what do you have to do there?
You got to ring that bell.
You got to ring that bell.
Yeah, because that notifies you whenever we're live.
Very important.
Yeah, very important, because then you don't have to go on Reddit or on anything and just spam where's the stream, because it will tell you. It will tell you where it is. It will tell you where we are, and you'll be able to find us like that.
Yeah, YouTube, the premium place for the ESL Pro League. And obviously one final shout out as well, as you head over to the store, you can get yourself a jersey for one of these teams, for example. If you're a big fan of Fnatic, head over to there, get yourself a Fnatic jersey. There are plenty of teams over on the store.eslgaming.com. A lot of interesting things for you to buy. I'm definitely going to be rocking my Fnatic jersey if they pick up this map. Obviously it's looking very likely, I think, in terms of recent performance. I think that's something we can move on to. We can get away from the nitty, or we can get into the nitty gritty, if anything. You said it yourself, you were looking at Fnatic to pick up this match. Obviously, it is a best of one now. What are the chances, at least, do you think, of G2 actually taking this one away?
It's a very hard question to have to look at, right? Because when you look at Train, it's one that Fnatic have always looked quite strong on. Even back when they were, the core at least were godsend. Train was still one of the maps they could come into, in a very big way and have strong performances on across the board. Now, at least, as well into this year, since they've reformed underneath, Fnatic, we can see that Train's one of the maps they've been playing a lot. It's in their top 3 along with Cobblestone and Cash. They kind of seems like they're trying to move away from Mirage a little bit, which used to be kind of the map you didn't want to face Fnatic on. And I feel like teams have really adjusted to how they play it now. We kind of see them picking it less. We see them losing on it a hell of a lot more. And teams, I think, have just kind of gotten above them. But Train is one that they are definitely very, very accustomed to playing, and I expect them to do very well. So for G2 to win, a lot of things have to go right. And lately, a lot of things have been going horribly wrong. The one thing that you can guarantee, hopefully, is that Shox is going to have a damn good performance. But I think you're going to have to look across kind of the board to see a couple of key players step up. In particular, Kenny S is the one that I would say has been having a very hard time with things lately, and he's someone who I think we need to have a very good return to form for G2 to stand a chance here.
Yeah, I think that's definitely important, looking at Kenny S, at least picking up the AWP. Obviously, G2 being one of those teams that are so prevalent in picking up the double AWP. We see so commonly Shox and Kenny picking it up. Yeah. Even on T-side, Cobble, for example, a map where you never see double AWPs on the T-side, Shox has always been there. And frankly, obviously, I don't want to take it away from Kenny. One of the best AWPers in the world, even in his slumps, I think you can definitely agree. I feel like at the moment, he is in a pretty big slump. He doesn't seem to be performing. Shox seems to be doing far better with the AWP, despite picking it up as a secondary AWPer. And frankly, I think what you say is correct. If Kenny doesn't step up on that AWP, I don't think G2 are moving anywhere fast.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we were speaking about it earlier. They've kind of even been elected to put it on Shox now over Kenny, just because it does seem like he's struggling that much. And don't put it on your player who is normally good with the AWP, but he's not giving you the results. Just stick it on someone who is, and that's exactly what they're hoping to do by handing it over to Shox. He's been having a very good time, both with the rifle and with the AK. So, yeah, no, I do think it's going to be interesting to see how that affects, just the overall thing of. The overall game, the overall flow of the game, sorry. Yeah. And, I mean, Train is one as well, where AWPs are so important. I mean, to see Kenny step up now, this would be their time. And like I said, they're due a comeback soon, right? Yeah. That's what I keep saying.
It will happen eventually.
I keep justifying their weak performances by saying, no, they've got to pick this up soon, right? I mean, they've got Smiths, in the coach role, so obviously that's like a fun change. I think, that's something that could benefit them a lot, because he's got a world of experience and maybe wasn't being used as best he could as a player. Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that have changed for them that should mean they're a really strong team, and it just hasn't quite clicked yet.
I mean, looking at Smith specifically as well, him moving to the coach role, we all know he's great at throwing his nades. So, again, guys, if you would like to throw some nades, we're just going to show you a quick video of some flashbangs over on Train. Learn from the best.
Hey, Future Pros. This flash will aid in pushing out of T-Connector. It will also flash off any AWPer posted on T-Con from Connector. First of all, whack yourself into this corner. Aim anywhere inside of the highlight section, then throw the flash.
Welcome back, Future Pros. Very, very helpful from Rush there. Obviously, moving into this map, you've mentioned it yourself, the double AWP is very, very likely coming into this one. We see, G2 themselves picking it up a lot. Train is a map that's very reliant on AWPers. Do you think that there's a good chance that due to that factor, due to having the ability with both Shox and Kenny S to be able to dom that AWP on the G2 side, this may be a bit of a way for them to squeeze in a win?
Potentially, but the real issue I'm seeing, right, there's a little bit of a storyline we can kind of look at between these two teams, and that's the core of these teams. The main brunt of the players. We haven't actually seen G2 win against Fnatic since early 2016. I think it was the ESL Barcelona Invitational. If my memory serves me correct, esports historian. I'm not. I'm terrible. But yeah, I mean, you know, since then, and even then, the game was fairly close, but that was on train. So, you know, maybe we could see them try and pull it out of the bag once again. But there, you know, there's a substantial gap since we last saw the Frenchmen beat out the Swedes. And, you know, I mean, it was on train. Coincidentally, they did lose train the following time they played them. It's still in the Invitational, so, you know, God knows what went on there. But
it's so hard to work off, at least, because you look at as well. Let's disregard what happened over a year ago, and let's look at like recent performance.
I'm just saying that there's some beef between these teams, right? I mean,
obviously, there's a huge history. If you even go back to the Envious roster over with the old G2 guys, or some of them at least. But I mean, let's look at recent performance, right? We obviously have seen these teams play with these current rosters a couple of times. I think 4 times now, and I think Fnatic have actually beaten them 4 out of 4 times since they played with these current rosters. Envious, not G2, not even taking away a map from them. So at least there is potential, as you said, there is potential for them to take it away. But just going back to the bare bones, going back to the fact that this is Train, a map that Fnatic are prevalent on, they're very, very skilled on. We've got these, you know, individual players like Flusher, like Olaf that can step up at, you know, the drop of a hat.
Yeah.
It's looking rough for G2, especially considering their place in the standings.
Yeah, you know, I do hope for their sake we can kind of see them start to raise things up. I mean, they have only played 11 games. They're currently 3-8, which does put them right down at the bottom. But, you know, another way of looking at it is that most of these teams have kind of played around 14 games now. So, I mean, in theory, if G2 can win their next couple, then they could very quickly propel up the scoreboard and, you know, still catch up with a team like Fnatic, for example. And, you know, I mean, even if they pick this one up, we can see them move just out of that bottom slot, depending on the round difference coming into it. So, you know, I mean, they might be down and out for the count for the time being, but they can still fight back. And I think that's going to be at the forefront of their minds. That's a lot of pressure, but hopefully it's going to push them in the right way. Just because, I mean, you know, no one wants to be at the bottom, especially not the French super team.
Well, the French super team, we say with quote marks over our heads. But either way, I think it's interesting to talk about the standings in the sense that G2 are at the bottom, because you've got to be realistic. While they are 14th out of 14, there isn't much space between some of these teams over at maybe 10th slot. You know, there's only a couple of wins in between the teams from the bottom and the teams in the middle. We have a lot of teams like North Astralis, for example. They're up at the top, they're stomping, they're not losing many maps. But for example, you know, you look at a team like maybe Heroic, you look at a team like obviously G2, MV, LDLC, all these kind of rosters, they're all at the bottom, but they're not really separated by too much. I think it's only going to take a couple of wins for even G2 to get back into this one. I still think it would be a long ask for them to even qualify for the LAN finals at this point. Obviously, we are about the halfway point in the Pro League, so there is still time. There is still time for them to pull it back, and I have been saying myself that this team have been looking like they're on a slow burn, right? They obviously came in, you know, new, instantly kind of went at the bottom of Pro League, and they have been there ever since. But I feel like with recent performances, at least in qualifying for other lands like Star Series, they've started to kind of build up their repertoire of at least wins. Obviously not so much in Pro League, we're looking for that to continue, but I think if they can carry on with this slow burn and they eventually start to, you know, improve together as a team and get more experience, at least with this exact roster, I think by the end of Pro League they may be able to get a more decent slot. I wouldn't go as far as saying LAN finals, but I definitely say they could move their way up, and I think this is exactly where they need to start off here.
Yeah, I mean, that period of transition, which is kind of almost what you're on about there, is definitely been hard felt by GT, but it is by a lot of these teams. And I mean, you know, when you kind of compare them to a lot of other roster shuffles that have gone on, you know, one I think a lot of people are kind of speaking about maybe is the whole, you know, God sent back into Fnatic sort of switch, and how it seemingly didn't take them any time to adjust. They were immediately better. But, you know, they're players that have played together before, or, you know, on very similar rosters time and time again. And, I mean, there is a lot of new stuff that's going on in this roster. There's a lot of, I mean, you know, there's even the 2 Frenchmen that haven't been together yet, you know, the Shocks and Kenny combo. And everyone was so kind of looking forward to the fact that they are going to be on that same team now, like, able to you know, finally drive something home potentially. And it's been, you know, maybe not, maybe not as good as people had hoped, but... you know, there's still time. And like you said, they have looked like they're getting better. When we saw them go through their period of transition, they were immediately thrown into, you know, kind of these tournaments and these leagues, having to try and work off of very little, and their performances have been bad, but they've been getting a hell of a lot better. Yeah,
I feel like a lot of people, including myself, obviously been bashing on them and going, you know, Envious are better, and obviously Envious currently, you know, known as the lesser French team, at least in terms of roster, are actually higher than them in the Pro League themselves. Not by a huge margin, but still, you know, it's on paper, right? They're above G2, which is pretty big.
Oh.
But even so, I still feel, that G2 aren't done yet. I still feel that they can get things done. But we're going into actually the pistol round, Harry, here. This is going to be Train. We do have the full armor buy over on Fnatic. G2, they're going to be on a kit and a smoke on Shocks, and it looks like Fnatic are setting up for a bit of a default on the pistol round.
Yeah, they are actually going to be Moving over towards this B site by the looks things. Bomb though for the time being is going to be dropped, and actually it's MBK to try and spot out Olaf early on. We can see there's 3 players. G2 over here towards this B site. And actually MBK is going to be at the just the ruthlessness of Dennis there towards A as he falls early on, and already that's pulled a bit of a rotate from those players that were over by B. With where bombs dropped, still plenty of time for them to double back. Go ahead and pick that up, and you can already see the player pushing down in through Ivy as Olaf looks to try and make his way around. JW going to meet up with him as well. The crossfire setup as they just sneak their way out towards this A site, and Apex waiting to see if he can spot anything out. Going to be at the mercy of JW. He does spot him, trying to come in through connector. JW trying to hold on to site control. The rotate already coming on through for G2, and actually they're going to make their way out of the site. They're not going to be ready for Olaf, but he misses so many shots, and actually Apex going to find that. Now it's back into a 3-on-4. That man advantage going to be going in favor of G2. Bombs only just crossed to the site, and Crims to try and deny some frags. He's going to be able to pick up the first, looking for a second. Kenny's going to go down. Crims okay, going to put it back into a 2-on-2. But right now, this A site still very much up for contention, and Body coming in on behind. Actually going to fall. Crims is going insane in this pistol round. What's going on?
Now he is going to rotate back in towards the B site. Those Shocks now left in a clutch situation. The exact man you want for the job, but he's got a tool task ahead of him. No armor to support him on this push back into the site. And look at that flank as well from Crims. He's moving all the way back around to Popdog to at least rotate back into this B site. Shocks, smoke on the bomb. He sticks it. He jumps right on it. Well, Fnatic, no, I think they do in Flusher. He's going to spam away through the smoke. Does take the kill. And Fnatic, they are going to pick up that first pistol round with a phenomenal performance from Crims to start things off.
Yeah, that is going to be Fnatic to find themselves that first round. Now they'll be buying on down. G2 going to be trying to counteract that with the force buy. You can see double scout going to be on Apex and Kenny. Essentially a budget AWP between the two of them. And that bomb going to be dropped once again, very, very passively, just allowing Fnatic to take these early peaks, try and find something, and just wait for any aggression to come out. Now, Body's looking a little bit curious. Over here towards B, spots that flashback now, decides just to hold his ground for the time being. Second player going to be rotating on through in the form of Shocks with that Deagle and armor. 3 players still out towards this A site, 2 of them on those scouts. And once again, we're going to be seeing Dennis and Olaf trying to exert some pressure down through Ivy and Pop. But MBK going to find Dennis. That's already an AK in the hands of him. He's got armor to play around with as well. And now, this is where G2 could potentially be a little bit threatening.
Yeah, one of the 3 rifles taken away from Fnatic, which is a bit of a disappointment to start things off. And with no trade coming out from Crims as well, Fnatic are going to be a little bit worried. G2 still holding fast as the time ticks away. A minute now left on the clock here for the Fnatic side to at least make a push onto this bomb site. They have a few smokes just to get out over towards A, and it looks like that's where they want to commit, as the bomb is picked up outside of A main, brought to rejoin with JW. The issue is here, obviously, is that G2 still have this AK on the hands of MBK. So if Fnatic push into this one, that's going to be a very dangerous weapon to hold off this push, but the smokes are going to rain on in. Kenny holding here with the scout, and Fnatic, they are going to walk into the open arms of G2.
Yeah, Apex trying to watch if it wants old hell, finds that first, and MBK going to chime in with 1 on the AK, makes that 2. He's actually on 3 frags in total. It's finally going to go down at the hands of Olaf, who's now got a tool task ahead of him, and Apex going to find himself a second. So they actually very, very quickly come back with a round there on the back of an amazing solo play coming out from MBK and Apex. 2 players who just single-handedly locked that A site down. Actually, that scavenged AK allowed to do so much work, completely unpunished by Fnatic until Olaf finally trades things out, but he's left in what, a 1v3 with a UMP. Plenty of time left on the clock, but only 12 HP, and this time, Fnatic, they're going to be force buying down, trying to counteract this back. 2 Deagles in play, a couple of Tech 9s just rushing over here towards this B site. Once again, they're going to leave Olaf on the flank, Apex to watch, and with him being there, I imagine they might try and take this slow, fake the fact that they're doing their same setup, because you can see they've changed up these positions. But actually, Olaf going to go down very early on, might just make this B play much more possible. JW is going to be over towards A main still, but with 2 players primed and ready to try and secure B, it does still look like B's in their heart and minds.
G2 actually playing a double P setup as well. Very common that you see the CTs just go for a 1 retake play on B and then just fully rotate if it is a B play, and instead just play a lot of control over towards the A side. But G2 not opting to do that. Fnatic are going to be peeking a little bit out, but it seems like the A push is coming into play as Dennis finds his way down through Popdog. JW snuck out through main, and a quick 1D going his way will be traded eventually by MBK, spraying away with that M4. But Dennis, he's back on the hunt. He's found himself another kill, and it's going to be back into a 3-on-3. Rifles still favour the CT side, but not the shots. Kenny will eventually retrieve something back, taking the dome off of Flusher. And 2 players now remain for either side. Fnatic look like they have a really good chance into the round, but the issue is both players are in position for the CT side and they will be doing work.
Yeah, it's all on Crims, 1v2, Deagle in hand. The hopes and dreams of Fnatic resting on his shoulders. Going to peek on up, but actually just stands in the stream of bullets. Tagged down low, now going to watch out because Shock's going to be coming for the double peek, and down he goes. Kenny to find that one, and Fnatic Well, they put it back into a 2-on-2, but then couldn't find anything. Ultimately, Crims just wasn't in a great place to try and trade those frags out, and they were positioned perfectly for G2 just to double peek onto these players, isolating them into a series of 1-on-2 engagements as opposed to taking them, both at the same time. So now it's going to be G2 with a second round. They take one consecutively. And as a result, Fnatic just going to have to bite the bullet here, go into this with very little, just Glocks. And they're going to be rushing over here towards B. It's a great site to just rush on in and get this bomb down. And actually already with a couple of players falling back, that might not be the case. Shock's going to be flashed on through, finds that first, and that'll be bomb drop. They now know that there's the bomb and players over here towards B. And look at this aggression in through Ivy as well. They've got so much info on the back of this play.
Yeah, the issue is Olof's pushed up, but it doesn't really matter. He has a Glock, and so do the rest of these players, just getting mown down from Shocks. Padding his stats here. Olof's going to be spotted towards A in the meantime as well, and Kenny will remove his face as Dennis is now left last alive. A solo Glock, and Shocks, he's looking for a last kill here just to add to his 4K as he barely spots him over towards that corridor. We'll eventually see him, gets dinked, but it's not going to be an issue. That Glock is useless at any kind of range, and G2, they're going to cleanly take that, keep everyone alive, preserve some CT money, be up to the 3-1 scoreline, and now Fnatic finally got to be back on their bye. It's the first bye round coming into this half as we go into round 5. Full AKs here for the Fnatic side, but look, we're seeing the AWP finally in play. Kenny S is going to be pulling that one up, and there we go. Instantly, Shock is going to be joining him as well. We talked about the double AWP prowess on the side of G2, and just straight into the first bye round, they're going to be spicing things up with that exact play.
Yeah, he is going to make the same play as we spoke about previously, and actually Shock's now peeking on out. And see that he's going to be there to try and reinforce as well as the bomb's over here towards B, and Shock's going to be just waiting on this angle. Bomb's going to be peeking on out, but it's going to be tagged down low, courtesy of Flusher with that bomb. And actually, Body's going to go down now. It's all on Shocks over here towards B. MBK luckily finds an equalizer in the form of Dennis on that flank, and actually then finds himself a second as well. JW is going to fall over towards A main, trying to get that trade, putting it into a 3-on-4. The man advantage now in favor of G2. Kenny's rotated around with an AWP of his own as the two AWPers reside over towards this B site, leaving it down to the rifles over at A. And as that bomb rotates back around, Olof making some presence down towards Ivy. Does it like they might try and change course with the wind in their sails, rotate round over here towards A. It's going to depend on Olof, though, who is going to be in their back line. No one watching it now. Apex pivoting round is going to be checking it out for the time being. And Olof might be presenting his face round the corner any second now.
Yeah, and Apex has such a good angle for this. Issue is G2 have to commit to holding it. He can't afford to turn right round, and he will actually repositioning back towards main. That will allow Olof to push out, but look, he just misses his players over main by the skin of his teeth as they start to make their way round. It's just a game of timing right now as Apex sits in between the trains. MBK dropping down from the heavens to try and join him, and Crims is going to open things up. Apex gets caught out in the middle. MBK looking to retrieve some damage, but there's Olof on the flank to come through Ivy. He will secure the kill. It's now a 3-on-2, and G2 left with two AWPers. Great, yes they are, but can they hit the shots? That's the question. Kenny goes for one. Bomb is planted though, and he only pulls it back into a 2-on-2, only for Crims to grab him from the back, as now Shox is alone. A clutch ahead of him. Crims' position close, and I don't think he's going to expect this exact position.
Oh, Shox going to take out the Deagle and walks into the waiting arms of Crims. Down he goes. Good night from the Swedes. It's going to be 3-2 as Fnatic. They do find themselves a second round, but there's still plenty of money floating around on that CT side in spite of the double up set up in the previous, so they will be able to buy on down. We'll be seeing Body relegated down to a Famis, but it does mean they get the AWP on Shox, and he's actually going to be just going in naked, no armor for him. Instead, opting to do this, trying to be a catalyst with that AWP. Everyone else can be on rifles. Plenty of utility between all of the G2 boys, and already Fnatic making some presence over here towards Pop once again, waiting for the challenge to come in from MBK. And JW just watching this angle towards that side. Kenny isn't going to be peeking out anytime soon. And Body actually going to be trying to go aggressive over here towards B. Will be tagged down low by the fire and flames, and already you can see Flusher looking to go aggressive. Doesn't check the lower angle and will go down. So already G2 find themselves with a man advantage. That bomb's going to fall on back. As Fnatic now 4v5.
Looking to reposition towards the A side, it seems, and JW presented with the pick, but going to be unable to hit his shot here. He will still force his way out of main, and that's quite dangerous, but MBK, I don't think he's realised this. As he starts to push up close, he could spot his legs if he gets a pick closer, but it's JW with a pixel-perfect peek to take down Apex. MBK will trade as he's pushed up aggressively, but spotted eventually by Crims, looking for a second, and he's on fire with his Famis right now. 2 kills. Eventually, Dennis will pull one back, but it's still a 1v3. He has the bomb under control, and an AWP going to be secured at least, as he's down to low HP, can't afford to get tagged here. And still plenty of time to work with, but the issue is G2 have so many players. They're all towards the A site. They'll be holding it for a little bit longer, and I can assume that Body will rotate back on towards B if they don't see anything in the next 10 or 15 seconds. But even so, Dennis, he's got a tall order ahead of him.
Yeah, he's going to make his way alongside here, and actually spots out Kenny, but walks into his waiting arms. Down he goes. I was hoping we'd to see just Dennis be a menace in the backline, but no, it is 4-2. G2, they find themselves their fourth, and they very quickly take one back from Fnatic. That does mean that their economy is going to be down in the dumps now. Look at this from MBK. Beautiful stuff. But yeah, no, the economy for Fnatic going to be down but not out. They will actually opt to force, though. A couple of players would have been on the double eco and looking to try and catch G2's economy as it just is building up. And well, this could fare well for them. I mean, there are 2 AWPs in play, but the UMP on Apex don't have too much in the way of those upgraded rifles. I mean, look, Body and MBK both relegated down to Famas as they're just stacking up outside of this A site. Smoke's going to rain on through, and it looks like they might be trying to fake this. It's a hell of a lot of utility just to pull a fake, but Apex, he's already gone aggressive. He's got all the information they need, and actually now they're going to be making their way in through Pop. That's what they put everyone in. Olaf going to get the first. They're wrapping around on towards B. Body's terrified. He's trying to run away. Kenny S rotating around to try and help his teammate out as he's just been fed to the wolves on towards this B site. He's got a tall order and going to go down straight away. Body will fall. This B site just crumbles from this push, which was a spectacle, but it's going to be Apex hot on their heels to find 2. Finally dealt with by Flusher. Back into a 2-on-3. Another player in their backline here. They just can't quite get rid of them. And Kenny, there to trade things back. It is a 1-on-2. The one that's been called into question a little bit on the side of G2, going to find himself with the AWP in hand, locked in this 1v2, and going to be baiting out the defuse. Does mean that Crimson Dennis both going for the peak. Bomb's going to be planted in a bit of an obscure location, but they do know where it is. He's just going to stick it, going to be tagged down fairly low, but waiting, going to rush through the smoke. Crims goes down. Kenny 1v1, not much time left, and he's sticking it. In comes Dennis, and he's going to fall as well, trying to spread butter on him, apparently. Defuse going to come in with just enough time left. Kenny clutches it out, and that's a 3K for him.
That is insane. How did Fnatic throw that one away? Running around with the SMGs, not able to stop that final kill. And frankly, that deep smoke from Kenny was great, because if it was such a close smoke, and at least on the bomb there, he wouldn't have been able to stick that defuse, because the issue is they could have just knifed him without him having any vision of them at all. But I like the play from Fnatic, despite them falling short of it due to the clutch. I actually really like it. They get aggressive, they throw that wall of smokes over towards the A site, and then they wrap into the connector to go for that B split. Very, very unique. And G2 didn't really seem to be prepared for it, more so just rushing in from the back on Pop Dog to try and go for the rotate and retake. But frankly, Fnatic looking very, very good in that round. The issue is, obviously, they're just getting a bit overzealous, but this is Fnatic. We know what they do. They like their knife fights here over on Train. But can they continue at least with some rounds? Because right now, G2 are looking good. 5-2. Fnatic back on a bit of a quality. They've saved some money in the bank because they will have the loss bonus start to build up, allowing them to buy up into the next round regardless. And so this round is basically just a bonus round. If they can get any damage done, that will be great for them. If not, they don't have to be too worried here. But the bomb plant is going to be ideal.
And our Body posted up, waiting for this push to come in. Crim's trying to spot out a player down below. Isn't going to be in a great position just yet, but with the 5th player rotating on round, that was Olaf, who was watching for any aggression. Now rejoining the rest of his team as they push towards this B site. Body's going to be up on top of the train, spots them out, going to go for the spray, but will be punished. He will fall. Shocks now. Here to try and hold back the tide of Swedes. A tall order. Kenny S rotating around. The Clutch Master himself making his way on the back of the site. The 2 AWPers just chiming in from range, but it's MBK to find the first on the back of his M4. Bomb will go down, and that's why this B site is so great. It does allow you to get that bomb plant. The retake, though, in full effect. All 4 players making their way onto the site. The AWPs doing work. Olaf with the deep, trying to make something happen in the high-powered hand cannon. Going to be able to find one, but he does now find himself isolated. 1v3, and Kenny on the aggressive peak, going to take him out. That's G2 to find themselves a 6. They keep 3 players alive. Bomb will go down. Damage going to be done. And all in all, Fnatic can be fairly happy with what they got out of that round.
Yeah, definitely. It didn't really need too much more. Obviously, it would have been great to get 3 kills, maybe take one of the AWPers away from G2 as they hold on to both Shocks and Kenny's rifles. But at the end of the day, it's not going to matter too much. Fnatic can still afford to buy up. Flash are going to drop over the AWP to JW as well, allowing him to just go for body armor. But the utility not being an issue as the rest of the players do have a full set. And Fnatic now, they need to make this one work. They can't afford to throw this one away, because if they do, G2 are going to be up to 7 at just the drop of a hat, and then maybe even an 8th as Fnatic will be forced into a bit of an awkward economical situation without the bomb plant. So we really need to see something come out from the Swedish side here. But look at the Shocks' aggression up towards B, instantly going to be pushed. And with MBK supporting over towards the Pop Dog as well, he's pretty much got everyone cornered if they try to go towards a B site. Flusher looking aggressively up in towards the top. But even so, if he gets a bit too big for his boots, he could get caught out.
An entirely different approach, though, from both of these teams and how they're going to play this round. I mean, the aggression over towards B is something we've seen a lot from G2, but they're finally getting something from it. I mean, Shock's being posted up here with the AWP, MBK holding Pop, Flusher, wherever he goes, he's going to be encountering players, 3 of them nearby, and if he gets isolated, and then eliminated. And actually, as he rounds the corner, he's just going to get flat out guillotined by Shox. Down he goes, the man advantage secured, and that's going to pressure the rest of Fnatic to now try and make something happen out towards A. And as they push on through, MBK going to find the first from Pop. Now they have to try and do something, and it's that need to try and trade this back out that could allow the G2 side to try and extend their lead that much more. Apex going to peek wide, finds one, finds two, as Crims just walks into the stream of bullets because he can't bear life anymore, and then down goes JW as well, who does get Apex in return at least. But I mean, that's hardly even a silver lining, really.
No, this is really weird from Fnatic as well. They just get caught out one by one, unfortunately. MBK, despite reusing that pop dog position as he has been doing many rounds, they don't really seem to expect it. And G2 just looking good so far. 7-2, expected 8-2 as Fnatic again go for this similar quasi by a few deagles, but not much utility to allow them to get onto a site here. It's going to be very difficult to justify them actually doing too much in this round. Obviously, the pistols are dangerous, and we know what Olof is like with that Tech 9, but even so, G2, they're going to be very well equipped to do this. Full utility, double up still in play, no issue for them. Smoke going over the A site, that'll be a deep site smoke, maybe even connector as we see these players pile on out, but MBK gets the first. Dennis peeks out wide, does manage to get one, and Olof as well with the Tech 9's going to fall short as it's all down to JW, pushed in between the trains. He will get one, but that should just be it here as G2 know exactly where he is. A rifle has been grabbed, but again, he's just being completely cornered. Bomb control, yes, but G2 know what's going on. The issue is, obviously, he has the bomb. He could actually wrap back around towards a B site and take a one-on-one there, because it's unlikely G2 are going to go for a full rotation. They don't know whether he's going Ivy or going back towards a B site. But as he makes his way into the halls here, if he makes too much noise, a close position of Shox, he may be able to hear this one. I think he actually has. Look at the rotations. Instantly, they're going to start to push up. Shox takes pop dog control. The other two come in from main, and that's going to be enough. But Kenny actually falls. What happened? JW's taken the kill. The bomb will be planted as well. He does have a flank coming out he's got to be worried about. But Body, I don't know what he's doing. Just running in the center of the site. It will be the flank to actually clear things up. But Body, very, very close to getting taken out there.
Yeah, Body undergoing a sacred vow of pacifism by the looks of things. Doesn't even want to risk firing a shot JW's way. Nearly gets caught out, desperately tries to, I don't know, like use his movement in quotation marks, because that was abysmal. But yeah, I guess he just didn't expect him to be there, right? That's twice now Fnatic have used that plant over towards B. Usually in a 1v2, you'd expect them to plant it, for the kind of rafters or ramp position. And instead, he goes for their kind of more aggressive plant, the one where you kind of make your way down throughout the trains, try to grab the aggressive connector control and then deny the rotates. But not really one that they did see coming. Ultimately, though, this round, Fnatic can be sending players already over towards B. 3 players here early on, and that's to try and counteract this aggression that G2 have been using time and time again. And actually, it's going to work brilliantly. The Shox limps away from that. 17 HP, already going to be tagged down low, and has to fall back into the relative safety of that B site. Now, Bomb's going to rotate back around over here towards A. They've already done damage over at this B site, so they're banking on the fact that perhaps G2 have rotated an extra player around. That's not going to be the case. There are still 3 over at this A site. And Olof, well, he's been watching Ivy time and time again. Hasn't spotted anything out this time. Hasn't seen anyone poke their head out. Apex, the player who does normally kind of challenge over towards there. And MBK, guess where he is? He's in Pop.
Wow, that's rare. Never seen this position before. Hopefully Fnatic will expect it this time, though. I'd like to see them use some utility to get down there. As you can see, MBK holding the close angle. We are going to see these smokes rain over the A site. The push coming out from Fnatic, the cross, and Olof to open things up. Apex is down, but MBK, he's still in the enemy lines here. They need to work it out as Kenny, he's situated alone on the site. The rotation's yet to come in, and Dennis expects it. This time takes a kill. It's good so far for Fnatic, but Kenny S is still alive, and he can be a nuisance sometimes. Pulls out the AWP, quick shot onto Crims. Looks for more, but misses a shot. Olof will eventually take him out, and frankly, Fnatic are tearing apart G2. It's all onto Shox, already low from the start of the round, and Olof is going to make it worse as he manages to pile a bullet into the head, not choosing to go for that double up. Fnatic just sticking with it on JW, and we will be seeing an 8-3 scoreline. Still good for G2, but Fnatic starting to whittle down on the economy of the French. Look at this. This will be their last buy.
Yeah, but it's still going to be a strong buy overall. We are going to still see the AWP on Shox. Apex is going to be relegated down to a 5-7, which is a little bit disappointing, but we did have hardly any money, and actually Olof going to be the one with the AWP. He did have the spawn for it, trying to peek out towards his A site. The raw aggression from G2 over towards B. This time, Fnatic not going to be able to catch them off guard by being ready for this. There's actually 3 players here with only 2 on this A site. There was a 4th over towards B who's now rotating back around. They were banking on a very, very aggressive B play, and actually, Olof's already snuck out. Might be able to spot Sharks. He does just round the corner, but now going to fade away for the time being. Going to remain unscathed. It's going to be heard by Apex, who's going to chime in with one with that 5-7. Now that's an AWP gathered up for the side of GT. They're going to be back on the double up setup, and Apex going to take the angle aggressively. Finds one, looking for a second, but Kenny says no. Doesn't want to let Apex steal his role just yet, and now it's Crimson JW. 2v5, lot left to answer for. Trying to make their presence known over towards Ivy.
They do throw down that smoke, but Shox is just on the other side, using it up like a shotgun here in this close position, and frankly, it could be dangerous with the crossfire from Apex as well, but he's just diving on in, pulls out the pistol, he knows they're close, but this nade, he may get caught out, throws it in, pistol out in hand, chases JW, and he's down to 20 HP, has to back off if he wants to keep himself alive in this round, but Crims, he's left in such a dire spot. Kenny going to remove the head with the rifle there, and G2, they're up to 9-3. This is dominant. Not only that, but they actually get the reset as well onto Fnatic. That's really going to screw over their economy here over on the T side, because while they can force things up just after saving, quite a few players in their previous win, this is still going to be a bit of an issue because it's their last buy coming up from the T side until G2 really stomp their way to the final ones of this half. Because look, we have 2 Tech 9s, 2 AKs, and an AWP. That's not really enough to get the double AWP out of the hands of G2, frankly.
Yeah, Fnatic can find a couple more rounds just to try and pad it a little bit, and I feel like we could see them be okay. If not, G2 are looking to be in a very dominant position. And considering their buy going into this, Fnatic don't have too much. They've actually still got Olaf watching Ivy. Now he's just been the protector, the Guardian, and oh, okay, he's going to go down as it doesn't matter. The Guardian Angel will fall, and actually JW going to go down as he tries to equalize the frag out towards A. Their A players have been very sloppy in terms of getting those trades. Now we can see Dennis rotating back around to pick up the bomb. And this looks to be a bit of a play out of desperation here. They've already lost 2 players. Crims is a few inches away from death, and actually even closer than perhaps we first thought, as Apex will be able to pick that up. Now Dennis to refrag. Elise going to be able to put it back into a 2-on-4. Still has the bomb. Now going to look to rejoin and Flusher over towards B. Shox and Body here to hold back the 2 remaining Swedes.
But I like the fact they still have a double B play in order. Actually, as I say that, they rotate one more back towards the connector, but still committing with it. Yeah, well, now he's moving back in. They seem undecided. G2 sticking with the 2 players on B, and that's so safe here in a 2 versus 4, obviously, for the CT side. A lot of teams just like to play retake on B, but knowing they're hurting the economy of Fnatic and forcing them to eco soon, this is going to be the perfect remedy for success here for the CT side. And Body pushing up aggressively, does get spotted. Bit overzealous with a peek, and Flusher will take him. This could be an avenue back into the round here for Fnatic as the flashes come out of upper. They start to drop on down, but Shox is in position, just gets away by the skin of his teeth, and the nade will dunk, but it won't be able to take down Dennis as the bomb is planted. Now G2 looking to retake. They have forced themselves up aggressively, but it's Flusher to follow up with a second kill. Kenny, yes, does retrieve one, and it's all onto Dennis. An AWP in hand, and now the 2 AWPers of G2 left to clutch.
Yeah, Dennis going to switch things out of the AK, but walks into the waiting arms of Shox, and it's not a hug he's delivering. He will go down. The AWP just chiming in with one. Shox, the player who was actually originally over towards B, doesn't buy them any time. Body goes down early on, can't trade things out immediately as he does miss the shot on the 2 players entering the site. Just falls back, relinquishes control, waits for those players to rotate in from the A site in the knowledge that they're still going to outnumber Fnatic. They should be able to take these duels, and that is exactly what they do. 2v1 there to round things out, and that's G2 saving at that double AWP setup, which would be so expensive if they had to rebuy. That's going to allow them to have a nice bit of money starting to accrue now into round 14. And Fnatic, they're just going to force buy down once again. Only 1 rifle. Crim's going to be the player with that in hand, and they're stacking up outside of this A site, looking to try and throw these smokes and flashes in. This time, though, they don't have their kind of their alley in. I mean, they don't have MBK over towards Pop. That was a free kill or a free player isolated. This time, they're just going to try and rush straight on through, and as the smokes land, it's the wall of smokes in towards B yet again. Olaf going to go aggressive, isolate Shox, and down he falls. Now that's an AWP in the hands of Olaf, which is terrifying. Body once again going to try and retreat back into the site, but Kenny is quick to find Olaf in their backline. That's everyone on the flank eliminated into a 3-on-4. Bomb's going to go down any second now as they look to try and plant this. Body is still very much on this site, buying plenty of time for the rotate as he's just denying the bomb going down just yet. Finally will be planted. Utility still plenty and raining on through. And actually, Crim's going to take the peak. Will be traded out swiftly by Kenny. Are they going to anticipate JW there? But it doesn't. Oh no, he's going to be able to find one. Looking for a second, but MBK there to trade things out. It is all on Flusher. 1v2.
I don't know where he is. Body Just walking with his back to him. Flusher just on the other side of the smoke, and as soon as that dissipates, they're going to be met full frontal, and Body actually getting taken down. Flusher spamming away. He doesn't know MBK is going to be committing. He's sticking the bomb. Flusher has to jump on in. Is he going to use a knife? No, it's the M4 to spray. And Fnatic, by the skin of their teeth, they take the round 4-10. That was so close. I like how they repeated the strategy from obviously the previous round. It does almost guarantee them a bomb plant. The issue is losing 4 players is going to mean that their money is a bit, shoddy here for the last round. The utility may be limited if they want to go for the full AKs, and actually going to be relegated down to a Galil on JW. Olaf in an awkward spot as well. UMP for him, so he can buy up some utility. And G2 actually forcing again for the final one. Obviously, they are going to be forcing, but they got the double AWP, double deagle. This is a favourable buy here for Fnatic finally.
Yeah, they're looking to take full advantage of that. Dennis has already gone out aggressive over here towards A, but Kenny to find the first. Grim's going to go down, actually going to find himself a second. Right now it's a 2-for-1 trade, but Kenny's still very much alive and a huge threat with this AWP. Apex waiting towards Old Hell just for these players to cross onto the site. And Kenny, well, he's going to find himself a third. And we said one of the win conditions was for Kenny to go huge. And right now he is delivering. And actually Apex is going to be coming down from behind. Flusher will fall. It's all on Dennis. 1v4 spotted out by Body. The double D going to be coming in handy, and that is the half going the way of G2.
Yep, so we'll see you after the break to see if Fnatic can bring it back or G2 will close it out. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, here to the Pro League. Obviously, we have just seen the first half between G2 and Fnatic, ending quite favourably to the French side. 11-4, Harry. This is a different G2, or maybe a different Fnatic.
Yeah, or maybe a different Kenny. What the hell's going on with him? We said one of the win conditions is that we needed Kenny to have a strong game. And I mean, I don't know, what's going on with him? I mean...
He's performing crazy.
He's been having a lot of Mountain Dew.
Yeah. Well, either way...
Mountain Dew.
Yeah,
fantastic. By the
terrible
way.
sellout. You're the worst sellout I've ever seen. Obviously, aside from Kenny stepping up,
bad.
I think it's important to look at MBK as well. He had a lot of pop dog control over on his CT side.
Yeah,
the
that was
position
something I wanted to speak about.
Was obviously Fnatic not being able to flash him out, not being able to molly him out, and even in times when they split towards the A site or even sending a flank player over towards A in through main, he would just be in position to shut them down every single time.
Yeah, I mean, MBK utilizing pop was definitely the G2's strength. The other thing is Fnatic never really seemed to exploit it. We saw them do it in round 11, which was kind of one of the times where they finally decided to take advantage of the fact that they knew he was there, and it was a rifle round they picked up in a very decisive fashion. All they had to do was keep a player there over towards B, just to wait for the aggression to come out from pop. MBK then gets rendered completely useless, leaving it down to the 2 players on the site. We saw some nice entries. I think it was on behalf of Dennis and Olaf making their way out towards the A site, which definitely helped. But you have a player then essentially who's in the backline who knows he can't go anywhere. And the second he tried to peek down, needlessly to say, they immediately dropped down through Pop Dog and finished him off. So yeah, I mean, it was a very slow reaction from Fnatic to finally take advantage of that. The complete flip side of things is that G2 were on point. The actual strategies that they were using were perfect counters to everything we saw Fnatic do. Most notably was they were trying to go for the aggression over towards B. You see Fnatic, they very quickly counteract that by having a few players over towards there. And then G2 answer back by stacking 4 players on that B site. And ultimately it netted them that round. They go aggressive, they find 2 guys isolated over at B who are watching for that aggression. And in the blink of an eye, the rounds turn in their favor. Fnatic making some very questionable plays out towards A. And ultimately G2 looking to be in good form. I just think it's all coming up you know, G2 right now.
Yeah, it's really weird as well. Considering Fnatic actually had some nice things in their playbook as well, which I'd like to talk about. Obviously, they had a couple of rounds that they tried the same thing on those quasi-buys, even one on a force in the second last round of the half. They had that play where they go for the wall of smokes over towards A, and then push 2 players fast in through main, and they actually wrap in through the connector to go back through B and go for the B split. That was really interesting. Those were both the rounds that came down to the one-on-one. Obviously, the Kenny clutch that we saw where Fnatic basically threw it away going for the knife round, and then the final one that we saw as well with Flasher just going for the M4 spray on the diffuser. So actually looking at the general strategy, it was actually really, really good by Fnatic in sense that they brought some new things to the table that you don't see so commonly. But actually looking at the way that they played most of their rifle rounds, it was very default. They seemed to be getting picked a lot. As we talked about, MBK was just exploiting them down in Pop Dog, and that's a position that you should really have if you're a T side. Obviously, if you play off spawns and you peek out through main, you can catch a CT getting to Pop Dog there if you have a good spawn. So, you know, seeing an AWPer like Olaf, like JW just going for the fast peek, they could have really stopped MBK from getting in that position so early round, because it wasn't like he was leaving it till late round. He was pushing in there at the very start, and that's ultimately what was one of the reasons that Fnatic kind of fell apart.
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting. I mean, the strategy that you brought up that I did really like was the wall of smokes that allows that player on the side of Fnatic to make his way out through Pop Dog and then push in through the wall into connector. And we saw them, like you say, those were the rounds that were usually very, very close, kind of turning points for Fnatic, and then they were quick to then lose the next or throw it away going for 2 knives. You know, I mean, the thing is, that strategy, I think, worked really well for them. They just kind of never really were in the situation to utilize it properly. A lot of the times, you know, the buys weren't fully there. I believe it was the first one was on a bit of a force. You know, they had the smokes to make it happen, but they didn't have, you know, the full armada of weaponry that we usually see them have. But overall, I thought it was a really, really nice strategy for them to employ, and I'd like to see them bring it up again. Sadly, you know, not in this game, as they're going to be on the CT side. But yeah, no, I mean, I think we need to watch out for that throughout the rest of the series and games to come. But anyway, we're going to be heading into the second half. Fnatic on this CT side, and they're looking to try and have themselves a comeback. Currently, 7 rounds behind G2. Well, already we're going to see G2 sending shots very, very aggressively out through A main. The Bombers heading over towards Ivy. Not Ivy, sorry. 2 players over towards Ivy. Bomb making its way out through Pop, and actually Flush are going to be able to find that first. Will be tagged down low. MBK very swift to trade things out, but then Flusher now going to be on 2, still causing problems, and actually not showing any signs of giving up.
Bomb not going to be down yet though. Apex is still forced in very deep, and he's actually caught out Dennis from Pop Dog. This is good. It's all onto Flusher. Apex is wrapping around the site, but Flusher reacts. 1 quick kill. Can he gets close, and he does clutch it. Very, very quick there by the G2 side to at least get onto that A site, and didn't even need the bomb plant, which is typically the safe thing to do over on train. Very simple to get bomb plants, at least, if you go for those fast plays. Either way, it's G2 to pick up the pistol round, and frankly, that's not what Fnatic need. They needed that pistol round to get back into the game. Looking at the second half now, we have to see the force from Fnatic, and frankly, if they don't get anything done here, it could be dangerous. But the issue is, what is this buy from G2? This makes no sense. If you have a 12-4, you're not too banked on getting the money. You're not too banked on building up that economy. You only need the safe rounds. You need to guarantee yourself the second round. And with them having a triple Mac 10 buy into their second T side and Fnatic having pistols, this could be so dangerous. Olaf opening things up, and G2 walking close towards JW here. This CZ, if he gets a 1-for-1, it's going to be a 4-on-3.
He's going to peek out. Down goes Kenny, but Buddy's there to trade things out. I believe that's his second frag, so congratulations to him. Doubles his kill count, and now we're going to be seeing Apex and Body over here. Dennis to find 1, finds 2. They both go down. The triple Mac Daddy buy doesn't pay out for them. It is all on Shocks. 1v3 coming in through A main. Does find that first under Crims, but now they know exactly where he is, and already they're adjusting to this. 2 players on the site to try and trade things out, and he walks into the waiting arms of Flusher. Down he goes. And that is Fnatic to find themselves a 5th.
What is that round from G2? Why would you buy up a triple Mac 10 over in second round when you got a 12-5 score, 12-4 scoreline? Doesn't really make it too much sense here from the French side. Yeah, clearly. The thing is with those kind of buys is it's typically to rack up a lot of money, but you know Fnatic are insane with the pistols, right? And you know that you have such a dominant scoreline, you don't need to build up money over long term. You only need to win 4 more rounds. So why not go for the safe rifles? You know, just secure your 2 anti-ecos.
At least by UMP.
You're up to 14-4. But no, they fall apart. Fnatic get the force buy win, and frankly, it could go either way. It could go back on the flip side, as we know what these Tech 9s are like. Fnatic have got 3 rifles in play, couple of Mac 10s here just picked up off of the T-side players from the previous round, and we're going to have JW again, rinse and repeat, same position. He knows there's some footsteps down here, and with Dennis playing the bait roll back towards the top of Ivy, this could be great. But look at JW's aggression straight down towards it. It's Apex to take the first kill, albeit very damaged, but G2 are going to open things up.
Yeah, they take the early advantage. Like you say, Apex is going to be looking a little unhealthy now. They're throwing these smokes and flashes out towards A. That is going to give them some cover to make their way on out. And actually, there's only one player over on B, and that's Flusher. Now they're going to be peeking out, and actually Crims does find the first, but quickly traded out by Kenny. Man advantage still in favor of G2 as they just pour out towards the site. And okay, MBK deals with Olaf. It's very quickly back over 2-on-4. Flush is able to find one quickly on the rotate, but they've still got to worry about the remaining players who've just flooded out onto the site. And actually, Dennis going to be isolated, but Flusher through the smoke picks up yet another frag, putting it into a 2-on-2. Shock's going to be in the back line, could potentially find Dennis, but no, they just miss each other. Timing not going to allow that frag. And while Shox has the bomb, he's now deep over towards CT spawn. Having a bit of an identity crisis. Dennis going to be rounding the angle, and oh, not going to be able to find that one. It's all on Flusher, and he goes down. Shox gets 2 frags, and that was just too dangerous for TV. Could not show that. It's going to be 13-5. As G2 win one back. Now, do you think, Hugo, this was the penultimate mind game? You buy 3 MAC-10s, so then when Fnatic inevitably win the round and pick them up, they don't rebuy, and then you get an easy, you know, by
you're looking too deep into this, Harry. No, you're looking too deep into this. There's no way. G2...
No, that wasn't what that was.
No, they pick up the force buy. Now they're just going to go out fast. Full Astralis style, rushing outside as Apex. He opens things up. Nice couple of entries. The entry himself getting 2 kills. Body will be dropped, but the trade comes in quickly enough that G2 still have a 3v2 on their hands, albeit at the hands of 2 pistols against 2 rifles here, but it's not going to matter because Apex, he's not done yet. He's on his 3rd. It's all onto Flusher, wrapping back in through the CT spawn. It's looking like they're going to work it out in just a second. MBK spots it. Apex looking for it, but it's Flusher to fight back. 4 HP left on the man as he gets himself a quick kill, but look at the rotations from G2. Despite only having 2 pistols, they're not even going to take the fight. They're just going to full-on rotate back on through. And look, the bomb can go down towards the B site. Shox is in CT to even catch him coming in through the connector if need be. But Flusher, he's playing the long con. He's going all the way in through Bop Talk. This is a very risky move. Could actually manage to catch out MBK, but I think he's conned onto it as he starts to walk all the way towards the back, check the back lines, and Flusher, oh no, he's coming around from the other side. It's all a game of timing. MBK has to check it, and I think he will. That should be it. There we go. G2 have picked it up. 14-5 here. Fnatic very, very close to losing this map without having any significant impact. And frankly, with the way that these force buys have been going, they don't even get a full buy on their hands. They've had too many pistol rounds. They've had too many force buy rounds. It's going back and forth, and now they're even forcing to disallow playing for the overtime in this position. So that's going to mean there's a very good chance we won't see a rifle round from Fnatic this half.
And when people say, what's the impact of Kenny underperforming? This is exactly, right now he's having a standout performance. Body's only got 3 kills, but it doesn't matter because you've got that Kenny and Shox combo, and now we can see everyone making their way over towards B, with the exception of that player who's just watching the push over towards A main, now going to rejoin the rest of his team. Kenny and Body to open things up, and actually Body finds Flusher. Olaf going to be hot on their heels, gets swiftly dealt with as he will fall out. Shox to watch the flank. Kenny finds himself one of these frags, all going to be coming up G2. It's all on JW, who will go down. Hardly any damage done into that round. They didn't find a single kill, and that is going to be G2 arriving at match point.
I miss the old Fnatic. 16-0 Fnatic. This is upsetting to see. I'm not sure what's happening. G2 looking like they're going to close out this map in only one more round, and Harry, our cast, it's already almost over here. We've only been here about 20 minutes as Fnatic are now going to, once again, need I say it again, force the issue. We have 4 pistols and a Mag-7 in the hands of Dennis, and obviously it's going to be a bit of a tall order to see Fnatic get anything done here. Olaf's going to be in a position that MBK really held on to on the side of G2 on their CT side as he pushes up towards the Pop Dog. Crims as well, a bit of aggression, but look at the positions as G2, they just know exactly what's going on. Kenny's going to be close, Apex is well supporting, and he'll just be flashing in for the entry, so this should be perfect. Crims shouldn't land anything. He's not blind though, he turns around, he actually gets a kill as a rifle dropped, but Kenny looking to trade, he will catch him with his pants down. Crims throwing out the flashbang, it will be equalised back into 4 versus 4. But still, Fnatic got a chance in this one. JW's aggressive, we still have that Pop Dog control, but no, Shox will deny it, take it back into the favour of G2, and Fnatic have to pull off something phenomenal.
Now Olaf going to be tagged down low, MBK quick to finish him, and now it is all on Flusher and Dennis. The Mag-7 and CZ double team for Fnatic. Both players over towards A. Bomb currently residing closer to that B site, but they're not showing any sign of a definitive push just yet. Wanted to try and feel this out. I mean, they've got 45 seconds left to play around with, a significant man advantage. They don't have any information though as to where these last 2 players are, so they're looking to try and take things slowly, but it looks like A might be the site in question, especially as Dennis goes down. I feel like now this could just cement the fact that it's going to be this A play. You can see MBK looking to try and make his way back into his home, which is of course Pop Dog, and it doesn't matter. Body's going to do it, dispatch of Flusher on the site. Down he goes, and that is goodbye to Fnatic, and hello to a nice return from G2.
I'm not sure if that was just the way of G2 doing great, at least, or Fnatic just underperforming. I feel like some of their buys were really, at least over on the CT side, quite abysmal.
Yeah.
I just think back and forth, that was a really weird match to watch, because Fnatic not playing like usual, having a bit of a bad start over on the T side. Obviously, with 4 rounds moving on to CT, still definite chance for comeback, but they're missing out in a pistol in a 2v1 or a 1v1. Sorry, what can you really do in that position?
Yeah, there were a lot of mistakes from them. There were a lot of good things that G2 did as well. And I feel like after that first round where they somewhat threw it away with the knives, it all just went downhill from then on in. We saw them looking incredibly shaky. An amazing performance though from G2 nonetheless. And I feel like this could be one of the things is their return to form. You know, when everyone starts to once again take G2 more seriously. Here we go, Kenny. Look at him go. There's no stopping this man.
This is just Fnatic. This is just Fnatic going for the knife kills in such unnecessary positions. They have ammo, they have pistols.
What's the record for knife kills in an MM game? JW tweets moments before this game goes live. No, that's a different game. But yeah, I mean G2, I think they did very well. But I do agree with you in the sense that Fnatic made some terrible mistakes. I did feel like their buys were misguided. The plays out towards A, like I said in one of the rounds, were so sloppy. Olaf was watching the Ivy push, but JW did such JW was the one trying to trade things out actually in through A main. And they did such a good job of dealing with both of these players in a very efficient manner. You had MBK and Popdog most of the time, and whenever they had him there, they would just peek 2 players into Ivy. You get a free frag on Olaf. That's where JW is meant to come through and be able to trade things back into that 4-on-4. The second he pushes out, MBK's there to dispatch of him. And then at that point, they have a 2-man advantage. And what do you expect Fnatic to do from then on in?
Yeah, and the thing is as well, we talked about it a little in the halftime. Obviously, MBK's position in Popdog was just it was a bit unfortunate to see Fnatic not be able to ever exploit that at all on their T side. It's so easy to regain Popdog control with the help of a couple of Molotovs. We constantly saw the positions that Fnatic took over on the T side out through main. They constantly pushed JW or Olaf down that Olaf highway by the green train just out of A main. So if they could take that control, they can hold off the exit of Popdog, put down some Molotovs, force MBK to peak, and then there's a free pick. And if you can work out the fact that MBK is literally playing there almost every single round of the CT side, you should be trying to at least go for that free pick to start things off. Get yourself in a 5-on-4 and actually have a chance. But the fact of the matter is Fnatic never really built up that economy on the T side. They never really got a chance to pull up, the big plays. They got a couple of rifle rounds, but they always seem to get reset by G2 straight away, which is obviously great performance over from the French side, as we talked about. But even so, Fnatic not looking normal. We do talk about them being inconsistent, but I feel like they could have performed so much better in that map.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, I mean, I like you kind of touched on, right? The kind of anti-stratting that was underway on behalf of G2 was just above and beyond that of Fnatic, which usually are a team where, even if their strategy kind of falters a little bit, their raw skill is enough and their experience to kind of pull them through, but it just wasn't the case. They looked to be incredibly absent in what we saw in Kenny. You could tell he was confident. And the second you let Kenny kind of get his groove back, that's when you should be scared. I mean, a Kenny that's firing on all cylinders is a Kenny that carries teams to victory. And he'd been underperforming fairly severely up until kind of recently. And I feel like, this could be one of the things that maybe pushes him in the right direction. A return from Kenny S would be monumental for G2.
Yeah, I hope to see that in the future. But obviously, guys, that is weird. We're done. It's 7 p.m. here, and we're finished with the broadcast. Obviously, if you would like some more CS content, you can not only check out the YouTube channel, but also go over to the mainstream now, where there should be NIP versus Na'Vi broadcasting, if I'm correct on that one. And then following up Astralis versus Kinguin just a little bit later. So we're going to be going for now. Harry and I will be coming back, obviously, tomorrow with some more Pro League matches for you guys. We'll be back here at 7 p.m. CEST, I think it is now with the time zone change. But we'll see you guys soon. Have a great night, and adios.